everybody, this week on the Inkwell we're taking a look at one of my favorite inks, probably my favorite ink of all time, and that is KWZ Turquoise. As with all KWZ inks, KWZ Turquoise comes with a lovely vanilla smell, large quantities, and an excellent glass bottle with a wide mouth to fit every pen you could possibly throw at it. That being said, the Inkwell does not condone pen throwing at ink bottles. Please just don't do that. It's messy, and it's bad for the pen. Now, one of the things about turquoise is it's kind of a transition color between true blue and true green. So with that being said, you can have a wide gamut of turquoise. Like in this case, KWZ Turquoise is more of a blue, kind of a sky blue, a little bit of dark when you get shading into it, but it's more of a blue turquoise. And that being said, there are some turquoise inks that go even deeper than this, which really treads on blue more than anything. But then you get inks like Robert Oster Turquoise here, that is more of a tealish turquoise. So more of the green is present, a little bit more of a faded blue. And this particular turquoise actually has a bit more shading than KWZ Turquoise does. And when comparing KWZ Turquoise to Robert Oster Turquoise, KWZ Turquoise starts to look more like a traditional blue, kind of like KWZ Hawaii Blue, which you can tell the darker shades of KWZ Turquoise kind of take on the lighter shades of KWZ Hawaii Blue. So what does all this turquoise madness mean for you? Well, it means that with turquoise inks, you have a wide gamut to choose your favorite. For me, I like more of a bluish turquoise, and that's why KWZ Turquoise is my favorite. It's that nice meld of blue going into the green, but not too much green. If I want a green ink, I just want a green ink. Let's go ahead and look at the writing sample for KWZ Turquoise in the Endless Works Tomoe River paper notebook. For the pen, I used my Pelikan M800 Stone Garden with a broad nib. You can see that we're getting a good amount of shading out of this nib, and it's a pretty wet nib. When you're looking at the little smear there, you can tell that we're getting a good distance on it, so it's coming out of the nib pretty wet. But looking at the dry times, you can tell that it is drying a little quicker. I'd like it to go quicker than that, though. Honestly, 10-second dry time would have been perfect, but it's okay for what it is. Now, even though we are getting a good amount of shading from the ink out of this broad nib, I will say this is one of the few times that I'm okay with not getting any sheen out of the ink. With this particular ink, I like the fact that I can take it from a home environment to a work environment and get away with it, which is why it is on its 4th bottle now in my collection. Let's take a close-up look, though, at the color here. So you see a lot of the shading in the drips. The cotton swab, not so much. Out of the nib, kind of. But that color profile on those drips is just beautiful. And taking a closer look at the dry time, like I was saying, it almost dried by 15 seconds, but it really did take a full 20 seconds to dry completely. And one quick note, when I'm talking about shading, I mean the depth from the lightest color to the darkest color, which you really could see on the Tomoe River paper. Let's go ahead and do our water sample, and for that we're going to bring out our trusty Rhodia Dot Pad number 16 paper. For the water sample, I didn't do anything fancy, just a quick KWZ Turquoise, which pen I was using, and made a quick grid with some dots so we could see how that would hold up to a significant water spill from a shot glass of water. And it's a pretty significant one as is. Let's go ahead and speed it up 400 times normal. That way you don't have to sit through about a minute of water drying. And with a little bit of editing magic, let's take a look at the aftermath of the water test. Even though the color itself didn't actually hold up to the water, it is still legible to where you could recover your work in a worst-case scenario. So overall, this particular water test gets this ink about a 2 to a 2.5. There's no heavy smearing, there's not a lot of bleed to the other side of the paper, and you can recover what's on the paper, so that's really important. And it's not iron gall, so this is what you get. After all said and done, what are my overall thoughts for KWZ Turquoise? Well, it's my favorite turquoise ink. Honestly, as far as the shades of blue go, It's one of my favorite blue inks. And overall, I give it about an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, I know my favorite ink isn't a perfect 10. That's okay. There is room for improvement on this, but the fact that I'm on bottle number 4 means that this ink has staying power. And that's an important thing for me. I need an ink that I know I can take to work and use at home, and it's going to fit in perfectly in both places. And for my daily driver ink when I'm not testing inks for the channel, that's why KWZ has earned the top spot with turquoise. So that's going to wrap up this video. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you didn't, there's a button for that too. Either way, if you're new, hit subscribe. Check out the links down below for the Discord. Check out the podcast 2 Guys Zero Planners with myself and Urban Hafner from FPC Inc. And support the channel over at patreon.com/theinktwell. Also, don't forget to click those social media links. And most importantly, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week.